Hi, Caólum. Welcome to Spain. How are you feeling today?
Yeah, feeling good. Happy to be here. Always love coming down to Dublin. I don't know why. Every time I come down here, I always just get like a real kind of sense of excitement in terms
Oh, I
of
love
like
that.
creativity. I don't know why. I feel like there's much more of a creative community down here. So
I do feel like that about Dublin. Like, I moved here 4 years ago, so for me, it was like a place where I kind of started getting into fashion and stuff. Like,
yeah,
for the first time, that I started discovering sustainable fashion and all of that. And whenever I go into town and just walk by myself, I feel so like, oh, this is so good and so cool and so
yeah.
it just feels good, you
It's
know?
just a different world from I don't know from like where I'm from. So I'm
Yes.
from Newry, like really sort of small town and small town mentality. So whenever I come here, it just feels a lot bigger and just more diverse and just so much more like there's more possibilities.
Yes,
So
we were just talking about Newry as well
hmm
because you said to me that it's exactly on the border
yeah.
between south and the north.
hmm
Tell me about that, how it is growing up in that type of environment actually.
You know, I honestly didn't. So for a very long time, I really wanted to move away from home in Ireland and just anything sort of related to it. And I think growing up in a small town, like I'm an only child, I went to an all boys
Mm.
Catholic school.
Oh wow, okay.
I'm also gay, so it was just
Yeah.
a lot of things I felt like I had to escape. I had to like move away and reinvent
Mm-hmm.
myself. So I actually studied in Belfast for 1 year, and then I moved to England and studied for 3 years in Bournemouth, and then worked up in London for a year. And having went through college and then worked for so many different brands, I don't know, there was kind of like this sense of detachment that kind of like grew in me nearly, and I almost had this pull to come back home.
Mm.
And there was kind of just, I don't even know, it was almost like I didn't realize how much I sort of needed home to sort of project myself and my career forward. So like growing up in Newry was quite difficult, but having sort of moved back home,
Because
I,
you did it recently,
yeah,
no?
I've only moved. Yeah, I've only like I've been home probably about just maybe under a year now.
Oh wow.
I feel like I don't know. This time round, I almost feel like I'm kind of reclaiming my space because I sort of understand myself and my working style and the things that are inspiring me. And it's almost like all the things that sort of drove me away are now the things that are fueling my work,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
which is a nice sort of space to be in. Kind of, it
Yeah, it's
means
something new to discover again, you know. In
yeah,
a way, it's everything is familiar, but you are different, you know. It's
yeah,
not the same
yeah,
person that left, you know, like
yeah, exactly that,
it's like
exactly that.
you are a new person and you're kind of discovering, okay, as you said, I'm reclaiming everything that it's actually mine, but I'm just kind of starting to discover that
Yeah,
side of yourself as well. That's very interesting because I often think as well of like what would be like if I would go back to Serbia, like back home, because I've been 8 years out of my country now. And for me, I'm so confused because I do feel much more at home here
yeah,
than back home. Like I go back home and I see my family or whatever, but it just doesn't feel like I belong there. And I
yeah.
think it comes to that like, oh, well, because you're a different person and you need to reclaim your spot there again and kind of, okay, where do I belong here? What is this? You know, like
Yeah, it's just I
it's very
wasn't.
confusing.
It
Yeah.
is very confusing, and it's just I think, especially when you're like I don't know, when you're young and then you're sort of moving away and you're trying to sort of find yourself and figure out who you are. You're almost kind of trying to find home in your own kind of
Mm-hmm.
part of the world, and I
Yeah.
didn't really necessarily know where that was. The only thing I've ever really found sort of comfort in everything that I've done is my work, which I sort of carry with me wherever I go. So yeah, I think that's why now that I'm back home and that's sort of kind of inspiring all the sort of new styles and stuff that I'm working with. There's just a nice kind of balance of everything now.
Yeah. Are you enjoying it being back
I'm
home?
enjoying. Yeah, I am. Yeah, I am enjoying it. I
That's
didn't.
good.
Yeah, I don't know why because like nothing's really changed other than my sort of perspective on things. I think.
Yeah, I think that's at the end of it, and I think it's very nice that you said that you carry your work wherever you go, because it is kind of your home, your creativity, your
It really is.
space, you
Yeah,
know, your
like
security
it
blanket in a
is. It
way.
is my security blanket. It took me so long to realize that was my my security blanket because I think for a very long time I was kind of trying to just find the feeling that I had at home in other places. Just that
Hmm.
feeling of like safety and security, not realizing that home is exactly where I actually needed to be.
That's so lovely. I
So
love that. We went into a very nice topic, but I actually want to ask you to, what do you do actually? Like, what is your security blanket?
I mean, so my main sort of like specialism in work that I like to do, or that I'm like sort of renowned for doing, is creative pattern cutting. So that's like I'm very good at sort of being able to take a drawing, or not necessarily even a drawing, just an idea, and being able to sort of make that into something quite physical. I'm not really one of these designers that can sort of sit over a table and do drawing after drawing after drawing. That does not work for me at all. I'm waiting for a sign from God. Honestly, I have a lot of preconceptions about what it is I actually want, but it usually comes from a feeling that I have, and then I kind of try to tease that feeling out by playing with fabric until I end up sort of molding or making a shape. So I don't really have an idea of what it is that I want. It's usually a feeling, and I think that's why when I do speak to people and they talk about my work, they always describe it as feeling very homely, which is really important for me, because that kind of closeness is what that seems to be what people resonate with the most.
They do, yeah.
And yeah, it's...
And what I saw from your Instagram, you don't have a lot of pictures there, but for me, what struck me was like that it is a form of art for me, what you do. It's
like, it's mostly through the Instagram community, when people, because like a lot of what is on my Instagram page at the minute, they are just one-off pieces that I've made, and I can see why people do sort of describe them as pieces of art, because a lot of the time they do have like quite an artistic approach. I never really like to describe myself as a designer.
I understand.
I would describe myself more as an artist, because I think I'm very expressionate, because I attach so much of myself and my feelings to my work. It's not exactly about, I'm going to make a skirt that I think looks lovely and can be worn. That's never the purpose that I have. It's always about something that I'm maybe experiencing or going through at that time, and I kind of put that into what I make.
Yeah.
And it's that level of personal, that level of personality and that personal touch. I think that's what people seem to really love the most, and it's kind of missing from fashion in a way, because so much of fashion nowadays is so commercialized, and it's fast fashion, and it's all about how much you can make and how much you can sell, and that's just not.
Yeah,
it's not what I want to be a part of.
You said something that really, what I wanted with all of this actually is what I felt when I first time bought from a vintage shop, or when it's like that, you have such a nice chat with the lady there, she explains you where she brought it from, she gives you a whole story. It's so kind of, it's like, as you said, feeling at home, that person is giving you some item that has a story behind it, that has feelings, as you said, put into it. Yeah,
I think that's why a lot of people engage with like vintage clothing, because one, the level of quality is not the level of quality in clothing, especially on high street level, is not what it used to be. And I think that's why so many people go thrifting or vintage shopping, because, a denim jacket bought from a vintage store that's, say, from the 80s or 90s, it's really good quality, it's really durable, it lasts a lifetime. A denim jacket bought from a shop today will not last you a few months after it's gone through the wash or the dry cleaners. And the thing is as well with vintage clothing is that it's been lived in, and there's stories attached to it. Like, my entire wardrobe is pretty much second-hand or hand-me-downs. Like, I have a pair of vintage Calvin Klein jeans that my granddad gave me that don't fit him, and he's a really well-travelled man, so those jeans have seen
the
most
world.
of the world, and
I love that.
that's just I don't know, that makes for a more interesting piece of clothing.
Yeah, because I'm just seeing like at least here, especially like when I don't know how many times I entered Zara and I just wanted to leave. Like, I was like, I don't want to be in this shop. Like, this is horrible.
Everything's polyester.
Everything is polyester, and it's the mess that I can't really you enter, there is of course nothing is folded, nothing, because first of all those retail guys that are working there, they're just like overwhelmed like with the amount of people that are coming in and out.
I know, I can't, it's too overstimulating. I don't know. I've been to, I kind of like it's funny actually to say it's overstimulating and that it's somewhat unorganized, because a vintage shop is rarely organized. You kind of have to go root for treasures, but I kind of like that, because when you go in, everybody's kind of just in their own little corners, looking for whatever it is they want. Because I never, like, I do shop with intent and purpose, but I quite like just going out and looking for something that's just going to spark joy.
Exactly.
Because you know you're going to get something that's going to sort of have a real purpose in your wardrobe and at a like reasonable price.
Yeah.
And that you're going to have it forever. Because like I've always went to charity shops since I was probably about 11. That's just been something me and my mum have always done. Even before vintage shopping and charity shopping was like considered cool or the right thing. It's, you know, when I went to charity shops, it was, oh my god, Caólum shops and charity shops.
You
know, but
I know,
it was always by choice. And I still continue to do it because it's just much better variety, much better options, much better quality.
I don't know why there was like a while back there was that stigma of, oh, you shop in charity shops, like, and it was considered like, oh, you must not have money or you must need to, you know. It's like so stupid. It's so much better.
I've never understood that. I've never understood that culture. And like, it's only like really when I was at university that sustainability became like a real topic of conversation. But I think I've always sort of been unconsciously engaging with sustainability.
It's that, I agree with that. Same as me, like I now started calling it that, you know what I mean? Like I started understanding what I used to do before or what my family used to do before for any reason. I don't know, is it because we didn't have money or is it because of that or is it because whatever, you know? But sometimes unconsciously, as you said, we do those things, but we don't put a label on it. And nowadays we are kind of like, okay, there is this word sustainability that we kind of need to pay attention to.
It's like, like as a creative and especially like fashion, you do, like everybody needs to be engaging with sustainability in some kind of way. I just don't really like to sort of put it out into the world like I'm a sustainable designer, because in my head it's like I don't need to be sort of telling everybody I am a sustainable designer, because you should just be incorporating sustainability into your practice. It shouldn't be something that you flaunt to
marketize yourself
or to get more sales. So
what I love as well about what you do is that you're using a lot of topics from Ireland specifically in putting it into your design. How do you get this inspiration? And I presume is it because you're from Newry, or is it like, how do you identify and how you incorporate that?
So I think, I mean, what first sort of got me into kind of like Irish themes was the summer before my final year at university for my graduate collection, where I was like just researching different topics to try and inspire my graduate collection. And I don't know really why I find myself sort of digging around all these different sort of parts of Ireland. But I just started asking myself questions like, what's really important to me? And home is just so important to me, especially the women in my family, like my mum, my granny, my godmother, who have been like really, really strong influences just in my personal and working life. And the whole sort of premise for my graduate collection was called Mother Ireland. It was all to do with how Ireland's represented through like the guise of a woman, like the idea of soil and murals and art is always sort of represented just through Irish figures. And since I did that, I've just kind of wanted to keep engaging with my history and my heritage. And Irish fashion is like having a real moment at the minute in that I don't know why people are engaging with Irish fashion now more than ever. I don't know if it's just because it's a trend or if it is even trending. But I find it really disheartening that a lot of Irish designers take off to London. And I can understand why, because there's a lot more, especially as a small brand or small designer, there's a lot more at your disposal in terms of resources. There's factories, there's manufacturing, there's more, you know, fabric availability in shops. But you're not really, I feel horrible saying this, but you're not really an Irish designer then, are you? If you're going off to England and you're using English factories and, you know, so much of what I do is handmade, made at home. Any seamstresses or knitters I work with, they're all talent. They're, you know, all their talent and skill is from home or the town that I live in, and I'm really like adamant on using Irish talent and Irish skill because there's so much here, and I am guilty of having taken off to London, because I thought that's where everything's gonna happen for me. And when it didn't really work out the way that I wanted to, and I came back home, I felt like, right, okay, I really have to work with what I have here. And in doing that, I sort of realized that there was just so much more around me than I thought in terms of inspiration, skill, everything.
Yeah. I was actually very, very amazed on how many talented people are here.
Yeah, there's so
it's
many.
crazy. I'm not designer myself, or I just love fashion. That's the end of it, but I was just so like, oh my God. And I was so at first scared when I started the podcast. I was like, oh my God, I'm not going to have people to interview. That was my first thought.
Yeah.
And then I got into this world and I was like, oh my God, there is so many talented people here.
Yeah, they're just kind of hiding.
They're just hiding,
yeah. They're just hiding,
yeah.
They are.
I was like these people need spotlight. And as you said, a lot of obviously young designers, they go to London because they want to succeed, and you can't really blame them, as you said. Like,
it's much different though here as well, because what I will say is, having lived in London for a year, like in terms of fashion, like and like in regards to community, there's just this sense of everyone's out to get you, and if they're not out to get you, they're just out for themselves. No one really wants to help push you along or help you along, whereas here, people will recommend you to other people. If you need help and you ask someone for it, they will very well give you it. And I don't know if that's just the way of Irish people. I've just noticed that we're a lot more forthcoming and generous.
You are, and that was very helpful for me because I'm not from here. So when I came here, I found my home. And that was kind of like, I really feel like, oh, I do want to stay here, I want to live here, I'm feeling very welcomed, I can express myself in any way that I want to, because I didn't felt at home, like in my home country like that. So when I came here, I was like, okay, I'm welcomed with all this generosity and kindness, and it's so nice.
Yeah, it is.
And you're not the only one that told me that about London, actually. Like, I have a friend that lived there, and he only lasted 6 months, and he was like, I need to come back to Ireland. I can't do this. And I was like, it's fair. Like, just come back. Like,
yeah, I know.
Nobody's gonna be like, oh no, you need to stay there.
I know, but I mean, I can empathize with that, because when I had in my head for so long, I'm gonna go to London, I'm gonna live in London, I'm gonna get a job, that's me. And then after a year, I was like, I don't know, it's probably the loneliest I ever felt.
Yeah, I know.
It's just, and I was getting, I was on more flights home than I was to London, and I was like, what am I doing? What am I doing? So I was working for a brand at the time. I was actually only an intern, so I was only there 3 days a week, but then 3 days became 4 days, and then 4 days became 5, and then 5 days became 6, and I lived there purely on savings.
Wow.
It was a means to an end. So I had to come home. And I just think as well, just like the culture of fashion over there, like it is so progressive, and there is so many different talents, and there is a lot more of a fashion industry there. But I don't know, it's just like all the after parties I was going to and all like the shows I was helping at, I was just in these like circles of people, and I was just like, I couldn't feel, I feel so far removed from all of you and all the things that you want. I don't want to be a part of this. It's just, there's such a like dated culture over there in fashion, in like, you have to be mean to be seen. Yeah,
I don't think we talk enough about that.
I don't
want that.
I don't care who you are, who you work for, how much you earn. That does not interest me in the slightest. Exactly. And if you think that's going to impress me, it's really not, because you keep talking like that, I'm out the door.
Exactly, yeah.
Like, I went over to London last week for Fashion Week. I was just helping a friend out, because he's just started a small label, and I just done some modelling for him. And lovely. I was like with a couple of people that I used to work with, and I was like, I can't do this. Like, this is not like
my world.
This is not my world. I love fashion, but I cannot tolerate people who are not real. If you're not true to yourself and true to your work, I can't. I
Yeah.
don't know.
It comes back to that you do put your feelings out there, into your own work. And
Yeah.
we were talking, that's your security blanket. You give your real self to that, And when people don't do the same, and you're like, okay, well then I don't like that. I don't like that what you do.
Like everyone has their own lane, and that's perfectly fine. But it's just because fashion fosters such. I don't know. It fosters this culture of like, I'm better than you, and it's just, and I'm like, at the end of the day, they're just clothes. They're just clothes.
It's just clothes.
Take everything else away. It's just clothes. You're not God. It's just clothes. Calm down.
Calm down. I love that.
Yeah, and I don't know if that's like, I think it's this that people like about my clothes, because whenever I talk to people, and they pick up on this, there's just more that they can engage with in terms of. Not only clothing, but just me as a person. Because when people go to brands and they shop at brands, they're buying into, what are they buying into? Are you buying into a trend? Or are you buying into what that brand stands by in terms of its values and its ethos? Because sustainability is such a broad topic.
Yes, and again, I'm going back, like when I started this, I was like, I'm going to cover sustainability. And then I started interviewing people, and I was like, well, I can't cover sustainability. There is no way that I can cover everything. And then I was like, okay, well, what do I like the most, and where is my line that I really can focus on, and what do I give myself to the most? Well, fashion. So, okay, then I do like chatting with designers. I love chatting with people that have vintage stores or whatever, and it really inspires me, their stories. And I just ended up going into random shops and just chatting away with people, and I was like,
but that's the best way to do things.
That's so nice, and I was like, well, I actually stand for the same things that this person stands for. So that should be heard, because a lot of people just don't have either access to the information, or they don't want to inform themselves, or we are just living in this oblivious world that we just ignore. Ignorance is bliss, what we often say, but in this case it's not. Like there are better options out there, but often people don't know them.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm working through at the minute, because I haven't been really moved home for that long, and I'm sort of only uncovering all these sort of different things around me.
Yeah.
So it's almost like, even just being sat here and hearing some of the things that you have to say, it's like I kind of have to go out into the world a little bit, especially in Dublin, to sort of realize all these sort of different like network systems or support systems around me that I very much need.
Yeah.
So I do.
That's the good thing again about Dublin that I found. It's like whoever I would interview, they would give me like a list of people that I should connect with, or they would be like, just, you should interview this person or go meet this person.
That's what I mean, though. That's just,
it's like networking, it's very, very welcoming.
We do, like the creatives here, I feel like look out for each other. It's not a case of I'm a brand and you're a brand. I'm not going to tell you where I get my knitting sourced, because you want to do knitting and I don't want you to.
There is no that bittering between
there's that bitterness isn't here.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I think there's a lot that's very advantageous to me starting out.
Yeah, I also wanted to ask you, like, you're working at the moment on something. I know last time when we talked, you said that you're working literally 24/7.
I am.
Can you tell us a bit about it?
Yeah, I am terrified, but I am terrified but excited to announce that I am doing my first menswear collection, and it will be launching in September.
Congrats.
The dates are still up in the air, but it will be launching the week of the 13th to the 17th. So it will be in line with the London Fashion Week schedule. It won't be taking place in London. It will be taking place in Ireland. But as it is my first collection, more than likely it will be just launching via Instagram and website in the form of a lookbook. But there will be a short video piece to go along with the collection, just to sort of help carry the story. But yeah.
Is there a story behind it? I presume there is.
There's a very strong story behind it. I don't really want to say too much about it, because
it's going to be a good surprise.
I think people are going to be surprised by it, but it is very personal. It's very true to me. It's very true to like where I'm from and my home and my origins. I'm excited for people to experience it, because I think people have got little drips and drabs of me and my personality through just the pieces I've done and that I've just put up on Instagram or my website. But with this collection, you're gonna get much more of a sense of
much more insight, yeah.
Much more of an insight into who I am and where the brand's actually gonna go. So,
that's beautiful. I can't
yeah.
wait. I'm so excited actually
I'm
to see
terrified.
that. Yeah, I can understand that there is that feeling of, oh my God, I'm working so hard for this and I want this to be special.
Yeah.
And it will be special, obviously, because no chance that it can, that it won't.
I feel really good about it because I'm literally looking at it every day, and I have so many people I have so many people help me out of the goodness of their hearts. You know, I have a photographer from Belfast called, she's actually a videographer, Orla McManus, and then I have a really great stylist from Newry called Aoife McGuigan, and they're all just helping me just because
the support system is always so important.
It's nice that they believe in me because it spurs you on and it gives you the motivation that you really need to push it out the door.
Yes. Yeah.
Because it can be quite hard looking at your work every single day because you just end up picking flaws out.
Yeah.
And then when people come in and they see it and then you see the response that they have, then you sort of say to yourself, oh no, I'm doing a good job. Yeah,
sometimes it's hard because, as you said, you're looking at it every day. So for you, it's like, okay, I'm just gonna, I don't know anymore what to do with it.
Honestly, I had to get my mum up yesterday. I was like, I honestly can't tell if this is good or crap anymore. I've been looking at it for that long. So yeah, it's a lot of back and forth and trying things on and looking at the things in the mirror and ask myself, do I like this? If I do, why do I like it? You know, it is a lot of back and forth, but it's it feels really good though. It does.
That's good. That's what
really
matters
good.
Anyway. This should feel good.
It feels purposeful. It has all the things that I want, because with my graduate collection it was really just the tip of the iceberg because I graduated at the height of COVID, so I never really got to make my collection in the way that I wanted to. It felt very rushed and it didn't feel very cohesive. So
I can't even imagine, because if it was just happening, you said before COVID. Or
when COVID just happened, so I mean,
the world was going crazy.
Yeah, I mean, like my university was like, right, everyone go home. You know, we're closing down. I was like, what? You know, am I going to get my degree? What's happening?
Going on? Yeah.
So it was crazy time, and I think every designer for their BA collection, you place a lot of emphasis on it because it's your first collection, and people get to sort of know who you are. And I didn't get that, and then, as I say, after interning for so many different brands, I was just like, why am I doing this? Why am I not doing this for myself?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think all of that's been on the back of my mind for so long, and that's been put into this collection. So it feels really true to me. So I think
nice.
I think I've done it. But we'll see come September.
I can't wait actually to see that in September. We should do a part 2 when the collection comes out.
You can come and look at it if you want to.
Yeah,
you can come and preview it.
I would love to. We can do a lot of content and some lovely stuff. I can't wait. It's gonna be exciting. I wanted also to ask you, what type of fabrics do you use?
So, I mean, in regards to like sustainability, like I do like to work a lot with a lot of the things I make, I would say that they're quite tailored, because I'm really into cut and quality, you know, like blazers, shirts, trousers, because they're all the things that will forever make a staple wardrobe. A staple wardrobe, you can never go wrong. They never go out of style, never goes out of season. You know, shirts, trousers, jackets, blazers, they're not really gender specific. They can be for men or women. And I think there's a lot of not only beauty in that, but like it's just the perfect kind of way to approach designing in terms of sustainability. So I do work a lot with cottons, wools, shirtings. I know cotton isn't really a sustainable fabric, but
no, but it's unfortunately it is better than again synthetic materials when it comes to plastic, literally like polyester and stuff.
That's what I mean. It's like it is a really broad topic because cotton isn't sustainable, but then
it's a better choice.
It's a better choice because one, it's gonna last a lifetime.
Yes.
Realistically, do you know what I mean? I have shirts from my granddad, my dad, my mum when she was like 12. I still have, I wear them. They're a lot more. Yeah. They just, I don't know. They just hold their value in so many different ways.
Exactly.
And with the cottons that I work with, I try to work as much as I can with a lot of dead stock fabric.
That's good.
So, you know, I do try to source my fabric from different stores that, like, there's like a fabric store, granted now it's in Paris, but they have, I can't pronounce this, it's called Montemar, and they get a lot of soutines and cottons that are handed down from the larger houses like Chanel and Yves Saint Laurent. They'll give the cut-offs down to the fabric stores, and then they sell it for really cheap. So you might get 3 meters of cotton, maybe for only €8 or €10.
That's amazing,
But it's really, really high quality cotton. And it means that I can make the clothes that I want to in very limited quantities, and then can sell it direct to consumer. So it means that I'm not overproducing. It's made to order. It's really slow, really slow fashion. It has a really slow business model and a really ethical chain. So, there's like, it's kind of give and take.
Yeah, well, it's more, you're doing a great job.
I'm
First
doing
of all,
my best.
Exactly. I always say it's not about being perfect anyway. It's
No.
about doing like those small steps and being conscious what you're doing actually, and making an impact. And you being like a, first of all, small business and small designer, independent designer, that's already enough. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it is. It's like, it's hard to cover
no exploitation
everything.
of people. There is
none of that.
Exactly. So it's already so much giving to the planet. You know what I mean? And often we beat ourselves up a bit on that. I think once you go into all of these topics, you're like, oh my God, I'm not doing this right, and I'm not doing that right. And
there is only so much you can do.
Exactly.
Because there is only me. Like, if I had a team of people working around me, there's a lot more that I would be doing, but I just can't do it at the minute. It is, of course, though, like, I am aspiring to grow like a small team so that I can sort of forge a more sort of sustainable approach to like my business model and stuff. But I mean, sustainability goes further than end product. It's also about the processes that you use.
Yeah.
Because like a lot of like, like any dyeing that I do natural dyeing. So I work a lot with like plants to like get like specific dye recipes and stuff.
That's very interesting.
Yeah. So there's not a flower left in my grandma's garden because I have it in the pot to make dye. But like doing all of that though, it just adds more character and narrative to my clothing, because as I say, everything I do is based on home. So making dye recipes from the front garden, like
it can be fun. Those type of things. I can just see you with like making potions.
It's like it's a lot more time consuming, but
I can imagine. Yeah.
But people buy, like I know when I buy a piece of clothing, if I know that it's handmade, know that someone sat and spent hours making that, and there's a lot more love in a piece of clothing as opposed to buying from Primark or Zara, where it's just ran through a machine and it's probably going to fall apart.
It will, yeah.
Like in a couple of weeks,
Yeah, I think the statistics say that you can wear the item 3 times before it starts going off. Like, something happens to it, and it's actually like proven that you're gonna wear that top 3 times and it's gonna go off.
Yeah, I will believe it. I will believe it.
Horrible. But yeah, I wanted also to ask you, like, now we are coming close to the end, but I want to ask you as well, like, is there anything specific other obviously than your job and your creativity that you do, anything else that is sustainable at your home or in your life?
I mean, like, aside from like, I don't know, like how
no, it can be anything, and don't feel pressure to answer this. It can be as well, you're already giving so much, like you don't need to it's just my curiosity, because I always ask every guest this question as well. It's just one time a girl said, oh, I walk or I cycle.
Oh, right, okay. I mean, yeah, I mean, like, I don't drive. I've never seen the appeal of cars. I've no interest in them. So I love walking everywhere.
I'm very lucky because I do live in the city center, and Dublin is super walkable, so you can go anywhere on the foot.
I like just taking in things around me, because I spend a lot of time in my studio, certainly now more than ever, and because it's at home, I don't really have a space where I can kind of disconnect from my work. So, I do like to sort of just go out for a walk, go to a coffee shop and kind of disconnect from everything. Even just, you know, like water flask or like reusable coffee
Oh,
cups. Like I do,
definitely, yes.
I incorporate all those things
That's
into
very
like
good,
my personal life. Even deodorants as well, like refillable deodorants.
That's a good one. I like that one.
Yeah.
I started doing that from last year actually, and it really changed like my perspective. I was like, oh, I can actually just go and refill this. This is crazy.
It's great as well. Because like, I have like this refillable deodorant. It's by a brand called Fussy. I think they were like on the Dragon's Den maybe or something. But they have this like really lovely like aesthetic packaging.
Oh,
And it's just like, I don't know, it's just like we live in an age of aesthetic, and it's just like I really love that.
Yeah,
and it just looks so nice. I swear I actually have it in my bag right now.
Oh my god, you'll
I actually do.
Show me,
I'm
please.
gonna have to. Where is it?
it?
I swear I have. Yep, here it is. There she is. Like, how cute is she?
That's so cute.
And then you like literally just refill it. It's great.
I love that.
So,
but you're so right. We do live in an age of aesthetic, and everything needs to be so pleasing to the eye, you know, and everything needs to be like, oh, this needs to, like my reusable bottle. I have a reusable cup for a coffee as well, and they're all black and matching, you know. And I was like, oh, that's so aesthetic when I put it at home on the table, and they're both black.
It just feels better. It feels more
better,
right
yeah.
as well, as opposed to like having plastic bottles, you know.
Yeah, because lately I'm kind of debating that kind of topic of, oh, sustainability is boring in a way, because a lot of people say or describe sustainability as beige, you know, this type of kind of.
It's not though, really.
It's not though,
like,
yeah.
No, not when you like if you overthink it, but like it's, I don't know.
If you start researching better, you find all these like nice. Again, I'm going back to like you find these designers or these like small artists or whatever that are doing these crazy colors in a much more sustainable way than when you go into
sustainability is not really that difficult to engage with, because I think it's like it is really become a part of the fabric, like the fabrication of society now.
Yeah.
Do you know, it's kind of just everywhere in small doses. Like if you go to a coffee shop, you know, you've got like, you know, wooden spoons and wooden stirrers, and,
yes,
you know, or we like card cups as opposed to like, you know, the plastic ones that like leach microfibers into your coffee. You know,
they're compostable now.
Yeah, they're compostable and everything. So, and definitely. Even reusable bags and things like that as well.
Oh yeah, 100%. Like that changed a lot. Like in over the last few years. Like I think we are getting closer.
We're getting better.
We're getting better. We're trying.
Yeah, the only thing I haven't got behind is paper straws.
Oh yeah, me neither. You know, it's not but I don't use straws at all. Yeah, you see, for me...
You gotta get that coffee finished quick before, like, the straw just starts to melt.
I hate them, and I'm so okay to say that, because I actually just came to terms, I'm not gonna use straws, and that's the end of it. It's not for me.
It just doesn't work.
Like, the plastic ones, obviously, they're great, but, like, to use them, you know, but they're not great for the environment.
Not great for the turtles.
Not great for the turtles, so I'm obviously not using them. And then the paper ones, I just hate them because I feel like I'm eating paper at the end.
Yeah, it's no.
With my coffee, it's horribly.
Just mush in your mouth. It's not
disgusting. No. Like no, like for me that's a big no. And then I know that there are those variations that look like plastic, but they're not plastic. But I actually don't even know what they are. Like I need to research that a bit better. And then obviously there are metal straws that I do have at home, but then again I never use them because there is no need for them.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, they're at home, but you know, nobody's
really
using
doing
them.
anything.
Yeah, but I'm glad you mentioned that because I do hate paper straws as well. Well, Caólum, we're coming to the end, and I still do have 3 questions for you.
Okay.
That I ask every guest. And the first one is, what community means for you?
I mean, it means sort of everything to me, just like everything that we've kind of talked about, because so much of so much of fashion is exclusive. So, you know, coming home and having a sense of community and having, you know, friends around me, family around me, and people who don't even necessarily know me but want to help me, that's really important. It's really fulfilling for me because it means that I can move along with the things that I know I need to be doing with my work, you know.
The cheerleader system is there.
Just like people on the sidelines saying, you know, I believe in you, you can do this, keep going. It's
so important.
And
that's so important, yeah.
Yeah, you really need that because that's, like, I'm near the finish line now with my collection, and I would not have gotten to the end if I didn't have...
Support system.
If I didn't have my mum coming out being like, come on, keep going.
Let's go,
come on.
Oh, that's so important.
You know,
That's,
so
well, we were saying earlier
I really
about your mom as well.
yeah.
Like, it's so important to have somebody who can tell you honest opinion as well, not just kind of be there like, oh, you're doing great, you're doing amazing. No, I want the critical opinion of yours. You know, like
I know, yeah.
it's like I do need to know what you're thinking right now about my piece or about this or about that. So it's super important.
It's really, really important to me. And even just going forward, I just think it'll become even more and more important.
For sure, like along the way, like they're there for the journey. So it's
I've already told anybody who's helped me at the minute, you're in it now. There's no
there's
go,
no
there's
out.
no going back now. He says you'll never get rid of me. So
I love that. The second question I want to ask you is, when do you feel most comfortable?
when I'm around real people.
Oh, I love that answer.
Yeah, when I'm around
I
real
think
people.
you're the first one to say that as well on the podcast. Yeah, I think we often kind of think, of a place or a person, but actually it's the real people that are there.
Yeah,
that can show them real selves.
Yeah,
and
honestly, just be yourself.
Be yourself.
Don't be like as cliche as that sounds. Just be yourself. Don't be anything else, because that's what people are gonna resonate with.
The most, yeah.
Just be real. Be real and be kind. No bullshit. Okay?
No bullshit.
No bullshit. Okay.
I love that.
That's it.
The last question, and I think we already tackled this obviously, but it doesn't need to be related to what you do at the moment, like in the sense of making the collection and everything. But where do you get inspiration for your ideas in general, not just for the clothes, but in your life?
I know I have said home, but I will say a lot of what I'm doing now and what I will be doing now and in the future, a lot of soul searching. I'm doing a lot of digging around in myself and in my mind, and I'm kind of working through a lot of different things and things that I've been through and putting that into the clothing and making sort of narratives out of them.
Yeah.
So
that's a very lovely answer, actually, because I do think it's so important that to do that with yourself and to find within that inspiration and to kind of transfer that into the world and what you do.
Yeah, it's just...
I don't think we do that enough,
Yeah, it's just lost, and I, like, a lot of the designers that I don't really look up to a lot of designers, but the only one I ever really do look up to would have been Alexander McQueen when he was alive. And there's just, I don't know, it's just, whenever I look back at those collections, there's just so much like raw emotion and deep love and deep feeling in them, and the reason why they're so strong is because there's so much of him in his clothing. And I just find that really inspiring, because that's something that I've always done with my work. My work has always been there for me in really, really difficult times, and it's just something, if I've had a really bad episode, or if I'm not feeling at myself, or if I'm going through a really difficult time, I just do work. It's just something I immerse myself in. I don't know if it's if it's almost like a form of my therapy or something. I don't know if I can.
For sure, in a way, yes, yeah.
It's just
because for me it's the same like that. Like, I do need to get out of that hole, black hole. You need to kind of find that little bit of light that brings you joy, and honestly for me it is like I do need to move and I do need to kind of continue,
I'm really restless that way, so I think it took me a long time to sort of realize what my working style is, and whenever I'm going through something, that's when I need to be sat in front of a sewing machine, because that's when the best stuff
Let's figure this out, what's going on.
Yeah, that's when the best stuff is going to come out. So
yeah, I love that. And I think figuring out your working style is so important as well, because I know for me, like, for 3 years straight I was working 9 to 5, had my routine, and now when I don't have that, it took me so long. Well, who am I as a person now without this 9 to 5, without this structure that kind of world actually pushed on you, because it's like,
that's the thing,
you have a freedom and you don't know how to use it.
That's the thing, because I think for a very, very long time, I always knew that I wanted my own brand, my own label, but I never really wanted to commit to it, mostly because I was afraid whether or not I was ever really going to be taken very seriously. So I think with this collection, I kind of want people to disassociate with everything that I have done up until now, because this
this is going to
my
be...
values, my practices are all still the same, but this is very, very different and very true. Very, yeah.
I can't wait.
So,
I really can't wait for September now.
Yeah, I kind of, I'm just at that stage now where I just want to put it out there and let everyone...
No,
let everyone
here
feel
it is,
it, experience
like
it.
a true artist, you know, you do your thing, here you go, and
take
disappears,
it,
you know.
Take it away from me, I don't want to look at it.
Yes.
I never want to see this coat ever again.
I love that. Thank you, Caólum, so much.
Thank you
this
for
was
having
so
me.
Lovely.
It was lovely, it was brilliant.